The space station known as Nexus 9 floated quietly above the neutral zone. It was massive, filled with flashing lights and endless walkways. Ships from many alien races came and went, bringing traders, leaders, and warriors. Today was special, royal. Guests had arrived. The Viralan Empire, known for its advanced ships and proud warriors, sent its finest delegation. At the center of it all was Princess Kalia. Tall, graceful, and powerful, she had cold eyes and a sharp voice. Everyone around her obeyed without question. Kalia stepped out of her golden ship, her long robe flowing behind her. Her guards followed closely, watching everything with suspicion. As she walked through the station, others bowed, whispering her name with respect and fear. She did not smile. She did not speak to anyone. In her mind, this place was below her. The Viralan Empire was strong. She believed no other species had anything to offer, especially not humans. Her advisor walked beside her and said, "The humans are also here, Princess." Kalia scoffed. "Those creatures with short lives and short tempers. What could they possibly show us?" The advisor remained quiet. Suddenly, the ground gave a slight tremble. Kalia turned her head. Across the large hangar floor, she saw a group of engineers moving aside. A human soldier walked past them slowly. He wore a dark uniform and heavy boots. Behind him floated a massive object, something long, dark, and covered in strange marks. It was attached to a floating platform, but even that platform seemed to struggle under the weight. Everyone stepped back as the human approached. Kalia narrowed her eyes. The soldier stopped and tapped a control pad on his wrist. The platform settled. The object locked into place with a sharp clunk. Then, silence. Kalia looked at the object with mild curiosity. "What is that?" she asked her advisor. The Viralan advisor tilted his head, uncertain. "Some kind of weapon, perhaps?" "It's too big," Kalia muttered. "No one could use that." She walked over, her guards close behind. The human turned to face her. He had calm eyes. A bit tired, a little curious, but not afraid. Kalia stood tall. "You," she said firmly. "Is that supposed to scare someone?" The human looked at her for a moment before replying. "It's not made to scare. It's made to protect." That answer surprised her. She was used to arrogance. She expected a proud speech about how powerful it was. Instead, he remained still, showing no fear. She walked around the object slowly. It had several long barrels, a power core on the back, and some parts she didn't even recognize. It wasn't shiny like Viralan weapons. It was dark, simple, strong. "What's your name?" she asked. "Jace," he said. "Jace," she repeated. "Your weapon looks more like a machine from a factory." He didn't reply. Just gave a small nod. Kalia smirked. "I've seen better weapons in children's training rooms." But inside, she wasn't so sure. There was something strange about this human. Not just the weapon, but how he stood. Quiet. Confident. Not like the others who tried to impress her with words. She stepped closer to the weapon and raised her hand. One of her guards quickly said, "Princess, be careful." Her fingers touched the side of the metal. Instantly, the weapon hummed. A thin blue light moved across its surface, scanning her hand. It gave a short beep, and then nothing. It refused. Her. She stepped back, eyebrows raised. "It scanned me." The human said nothing. The advisor whispered, "It must have a code. Only he can use it." Kalia looked at Jace again, this time more curious than annoyed. "This weapon," she said, slowly, "does it have a name?" "Yes," Jace replied. "It's called Gravemind." She paused. "Gravemind? Why such a name?" Jace turned slightly toward the weapon. "Because it remembers everything it destroys." Kalia didn't know how to answer. For the first time in many years, she felt something she didn't like, she didn't understand. She couldn't predict this human. She turned around and walked away, but her eyes kept glancing back at the weapon. And at him. Something inside her had changed. Just a little. She didn't know what Gravemind could truly do, but she wanted to find out. After her strange meeting with the human soldier, Princess Kalia couldn't stop thinking about him, or that weapon. She sat in her private chamber aboard the space station, staring out at the stars. Her guard stood silently waiting for orders, but she gave none. Her thoughts were busy. Gravemind, she whispered, testing the name again. It sounded strange yet powerful. The weapon was large, yes, but there was something more. It had rejected her touch. She had never seen a weapon do that before. And that human... What was his name again? Jace, she said aloud. One of her guards tilted his head. Princess? Nothing, she replied quickly, standing up. She had to see it again. Later that day, Kalia walked through the lower corridors of the space station, this time without her golden robe or full escort. She wore a simpler cloak, blending in more easily with the crowd. Only one guard followed her, a tall Virellan soldier named Ren. Princess, are you sure this is wise? Ren asked quietly. I only want to observe, Kalia said. I want to see how humans really are. Ren said nothing more but stayed close. They entered a training hall, quiet and half-lit. In the center stood Jace, alone. He was cleaning Gravemind with a cloth, carefully wiping every part. He didn't notice her at first, or maybe he did, and chose not to react. His movements were slow and focused, like someone treating a living thing. Kalia stepped forward. You clean your weapon like it's a pet. Jace looked up calmly. It's a tool, a powerful one. It deserves respect. She nodded slowly. Strange to hear that from a human. Jace tilted his head slightly. You think all humans are the same? Kalia raised her chin. My people say humans are wild and short-tempered, dangerous but unorganized. Jace didn't smile. Then your people haven't fought the right ones. That reply surprised her. Not because it was rude, but because it was quiet and certain. There was no arrogance in his voice, just truth. Is Gravemind only yours? She asked. Jace nodded. It's linked to my biosignature, only I can fire it, and if I die, it shuts down. Kalia crossed her arms. That seems risky. It means I have to live, Jace replied simply. For the weapon to work. She stepped closer again, studying the weapon. What powers it? Jace looked at the barrel. It uses compressed plasma cores mixed with magnetic field channels. Each shot bends space slightly. She blinked. That was far beyond what she expected from humans. It wasn't just big. It was smart. You don't speak like a soldier, she said. I was a mechanic before I joined, he explained. Then, a weapons engineer. I designed parts of Gravemind myself. Kalia suddenly understood. Jace wasn't just the user, he was the mind behind it. Why build something so large? She asked. Most weapons these days are small, fast, and easy to carry. Jace stood up and placed a hand on the weapon. Because sometimes small isn't enough. This isn't made to scare people. It's made to stop wars. Her eyes narrowed, slightly. A human who wants peace? Jace looked at her now, directly in the eyes. Peace doesn't come from being soft. It comes from being ready. There was silence between them. She looked at Gravemind again. May I try to lift it? He didn't answer right away. Then he stepped back. You can try. Kalia gripped the weapon's handle with both hands. She pulled. Nothing. She gritted her teeth and pulled harder. Still nothing. She stepped back, a little breathless, hiding it quickly. It's heavier than it looks, she admitted. Jace nodded. It responds to me. The magnetic base unlocks only when I grip it. So it's alive, she asked. No, just connected. She looked at him again, really seeing him now, not as a strange human with a giant weapon, but as someone who had built something no one else could. He was more than a soldier. He was an inventor, a protector. Kalia turned to leave. You're different from what I expected, Jace. He gave a small nod. You too, Princess. As she walked away, she realized something odd. For the first time, since arriving on the station, she wasn't bored. She was curious, and for a Varellan princess, that was dangerous. The grand event hall inside Nexus 9 space station buzzed with activity. Delegations from across the galaxy had gathered for the joint technology display, a friendly demonstration of the most advanced weapons and defense systems from each species. Every royal guest, commander, scientist, and general took their seat, eager to see what power each civilization brought. Princess Kaelia sat in the front row, her expression calm but her mind racing. Her eyes scanned the stage, but she wasn't looking for fancy armor or flying drones. She was looking for the human. She was looking for Jace. So far, other alien races had shown their strength. The Volgraths displayed their plasma nets. The Draenari demonstrated their stealth drones. The Katal used invisible shields that could stop most beams. The crowd clapped politely, nodded in approval. When the Virulans took the stage, Kaelia's own guard showed off their twin-blade cannons, loud, bright, and fast. The audience responded, with strong applause. Kaelia's chin lifted slightly in pride. Yes, her people still impressed the galaxy, but her pride faltered when she saw the humans step forward. There was no squad, no army. Only one man, Jace. He walked slowly, carrying Gravemind on his back like it weighed nothing. The room grew quiet. Some aliens whispered to each other. Kaelia leaned forward. Jace stood at the center of the arena. He placed Gravemind on a metallic stand and tapped a few controls. The platform beneath him lit up blue. Behind him, a large titanium shield wall rose from the floor, thicker than anything shown so far. The announcer's voice echoed across the room. This is Gravemind, human design, weight 700 kilograms. Plasma compression core, single shot, long range, controlled only by its operator. A moment of silence. Then Jace pressed the trigger. A low hum filled the air. The lights around the weapon turned red. Energy began to build. The sound grew deeper. The room felt heavier. And then, boom. A single burst of white-blue plasma launched forward. It didn't scream or roar. It cut, clean and deadly. The blast hit the center of the titanium wall and sliced through it like paper. The wall didn't break. It didn't melt. It was cleanly cut in half, and both pieces fell to the floor with a loud crash. Gasps echoed through the hall. No one clapped at first. No one spoke. Even Kaelia froze. Her sharp mind tried to explain what she had just seen, but the announcer finally said, demonstration complete. Silence remained for a moment longer before someone started clapping slowly. Then more joined in. Then all at once the room filled with loud applause and chatter. Kaelia sat back, stunned. She had seen many powerful weapons in her life. Her empire was known for them. But this was different. This wasn't a rapid-fire gun or a show of chaos. This was controlled, focused power. Power in the hands of just one human. After the demonstration, Kaelia found herself walking through the hallway behind the stage. Her guard Ren followed close. You're not going to talk to him again, are you? Ren asked. Kaelia said nothing. She turned a corner and saw Jace cleaning Gravemind again, calm as ever. Some engineers and soldiers stood nearby, whispering, and pointing. She approached. He looked up. Princess. You could have destroyed the entire platform, she said. I didn't, he replied. She studied his face. Why not make it smaller? You could make a version that fits in one hand. Jace shook his head. Small things break. Gravemind isn't made for speed. It's made for certainty. One shot, one result. Do you enjoy destroying things? She asked. He paused. No, but sometimes you need power to stop destruction. Kaelia looked at Gravemind again. Now she understood. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a message. A shield, not just a sword. Are all humans like you? She asked softly. No, Jace said with a small smile. Most are better. She smirked, then looked serious. You changed the way many here see humans today. I didn't come to change minds, he said. I came because we were invited. And yet, she added, you made an impact. Kylia turned to walk away, but paused. Tell me, Jace, she said without looking back. Is there a second Gravemind? No, he said. There's only one. Kylia walked away quietly, her heart strangely heavy. Not from fear, but from respect. Something she never expected to feel for a human. Princess Kylia returned to her chambers, but her thoughts were far from peaceful. The image of the human soldier and his massive weapon Gravemind haunted her mind. She was no stranger to power. Her people, the Viralans, prided themselves on strength and skill in battle. Yet here was a human who had stunned an entire room with a single shot. And now Kylia wanted to test more than the weapon. She wanted to test the man. Her advisor noticed the change. Princess, you have been distracted all day. Shall I arrange a meeting with Jace again? Kylia smiled thinly. No need. I want a different kind of meeting. Something private. Later that evening, Kylia stood in the training hall of the Viralan delegation. It was a large, empty room with polished floors and walls lined with weapon racks. She had arranged for Jace to come here alone. No crowds, no observers, just a challenge. When Jace arrived, he looked around cautiously but said nothing. Kylia stepped forward. Jace, you impressed many today, but I wonder how you would do in a personal test. Jace raised an eyebrow. What kind of test? Kylia reached behind her back and pulled out a Viralan spear. It was light, sharp, and balanced perfectly for close combat. The spear was a symbol of strength for her people. I challenge you, she said calmly, to a duel. Jace looked surprised but shook his head. I'm not a duelist. My strength is with Gravemind, not a spear. Kylia's eyes flashed with determination. Then I will test your strength in another way. She placed the spear on the floor and pointed to Gravemind, which rested against the wall nearby. Try to lift, Gravemind, she said softly. If you truly wield that weapon, you must be strong enough. Jace looked at the massive weapon. Then he looked at Kylia. Are you sure? He asked. She nodded. Jace stepped forward and grabbed Gravemind's handle. His muscles flexed under his uniform. Slowly, he lifted the weapon onto his shoulder as if it weighed nothing. Kylia's eyes widened. She had expected no less, but seeing it was different. Your turn, Jace said quietly. Kylia smiled. She stepped forward and wrapped her hands around the handle. She pulled hard, but the weapon did not move. She tried again. Still nothing. Jace stepped close and rested a hand lightly on her shoulder. It's linked to me. The magnetic locks keep it from moving unless it recognizes my grip. Kylia nodded, breathing slightly faster. I thought strength alone would be enough. Jace shook his head. It's more than strength. It's connection. Kylia looked at him carefully. And yet you carry this weapon everywhere? Jace smiled. Because it protects more than me, it protects my people. Kylia lowered her hands, a new respect growing inside her. I underestimated humans, she said quietly. Jace looked at her. You're not the first to do that. Kylia stepped back and looked at the spear in her hand. Your weapon is a test, she said, but so is mine. Jace raised an eyebrow. Kylia held up the spear. Try to lift this. Jace reached out and grabbed the spear. It was light in his hands. He spun it skillfully once, then handed it back. I can lift your spear, he said, but your weapon stays with you. Kylia smiled, the first genuine smile she had shown in days. You surprise me, Jace. He nodded. Good. I don't like being ordinary. They stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their unspoken understanding between them. Then Kylia spoke softly. Perhaps there is more to strength than I thought. Jace looked at her thoughtfully. Strength is also knowing when not to fight. Kylia's expression softened. Then perhaps we are not so different. The challenge had ended without a battle, but a new connection had begun. Kalia realized that power came in many forms, sometimes in the size of a weapon, sometimes in the quiet strength of a person, and for the first time, she felt a flicker of respect for the human soldier named Jace. Days passed since the private challenge in the training hall, but Princess Kalia's thoughts remained with Jace, the human soldier. She had not expected to feel curiosity, and something like respect for someone she once considered beneath her. Yet, every time she saw him, her mind wandered to questions she didn't want to ask. One morning, Kalia decided to observe Jace, without being noticed. She moved quietly through the lower decks of Nexus 9, hiding behind pillars and corners. Her guard Ren followed at a distance but said nothing. She found Jace in a small workshop area, surrounded by tools and spare parts. He was repairing a broken drone, his hands moving skillfully. The gentle hum of the machine filled the room. Kalia watched silently as Jace worked. He didn't rush or show frustration. He spoke softly to the drone as if it could hear him. Suddenly, a young alien child entered the workshop. The child was from the Orlan species, small, fragile, and timid. The child looked at Jace with wide eyes. "Excuse me, sir. Can you help me?" Jace smiled gently. "Of course. What's wrong?" The child held out a broken toy, a small mechanical bird missing a wing. Jace took the toy and examined it. "I'll fix it for you." Kalia hid behind a beam, surprised by the kindness she saw. Jace carefully repaired the toy, explaining his actions to the child in soft tones. When he finished, the child smiled brightly and hugged him. Kalia felt a strange warmth inside. This was not the harsh warrior she had expected. Later, Kalia watched Jace walk through the station, helping crew members carry heavy crates, repairing broken panels, and sharing quiet smiles with those around him. He was strong, but his strength was not just in his muscles or his weapon, it was in his heart. That evening, Kalia found herself walking alone in the station's observation deck. She stared out at the stars, thinking about what she had seen. Suddenly, footsteps approached. "Krew." Was Jace, he nodded politely. "Princess." She returned the nod but said nothing. He spoke carefully. "You have been watching me." Kalia smiled slightly. "I wanted to understand you better." Jace looked at her. "We humans are often misunderstood." She nodded. "I believed many things about your kind, but you are different." Jace shrugged. "We all are." There was a pause. Kalia then said quietly, "My people often judge by strength and weaponry." "Strength is more than fighting," Jace said. "It is protecting, caring." Kalia looked at him, her eyes softer. "You protect more than yourself." Jace glanced at Gravemind resting against the wall. "I protect my people, and anyone who cannot protect themselves." Kalia thought of her empire, the wars, the pride, the coldness. She realized that Jace's strength was something she had lost. "You carry more than a weapon," she said. He smiled. "I carry responsibility." Kalia's expression changed. "You inspire me." Jace looked surprised but pleased. Before they could say more, an alarm sounded through the station. "Warning. Unauthorized breach in Sector 7. Kalia stood quickly. "Ren, find out what is happening." Jace moved to grab Gravemind. Together they rushed toward the source of the alarm. When they arrived, chaos awaited. A group of rogue mercenaries had broken into the lower levels, attacking the station's security forces. They were armed and dangerous. Kalia's guards fought bravely but were overwhelmed. Jace raised Gravemind and fired a warning shot. The blast echoed through the corridor, and the mercenaries stopped. Kalia moved forward. "Stand down," one of the mercenary leaders laughed. "Or what? Your soldiers are weak." Jace aimed Gravemind again, the weapon humming with power. The mercenaries hesitated. Kalia stepped beside Jace. "Leave now, or face the consequences." The mercenaries exchanged glances and then retreated. The danger passed. Kalia looked at Jace with new respect. "Your weapon saved us." Jace shook his head. The will to protect is stronger than any weapon. After the attack, Kalia and Jace stood alone in the quiet corridor. She said softly, "I see now what true strength means." He nodded. "It's not about size or power. It's about heart." Kalia smiled. "Thank you, Jace, for showing me." He smiled back. "We all learn from each other." For the first time, Kalia felt that the distance between their worlds was smaller than she thought, and perhaps together, they could change it. Princess Kalia was in her chambers when the alarm blared. Red lights flashed and sirens screamed through the station's halls. "Sabotage," a voice announced over the loudspeakers. Kalia's heart raced. The peace summit was under attack. Her guards rushed in, weapons drawn. "Princess, you must come with us." Kalia nodded, grabbing her cloak. Outside the hallways were chaos. People ran in every direction. Security forces scrambled to control the situation. Kalia's guard, Ren, pulled her toward the elevators. "We must get you to safety." Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the station. The lights flickered and then went out. The station was plunged into darkness. Kalia could hear distant shouts and the sound of metal scraping on metal. In the darkness, something hit her side. She stumbled but caught herself. A strong arm steadied her. "Princess, it's me, Jace," said the calm voice. "Jace," she gasped, relief flooding her. He held her arm firmly. "We need to move fast. The lower levels are compromised." Kalia nodded. Jace pulled out a small flashlight and led the way through the smoke-filled corridors. They reached a damaged elevator shaft. The path was blocked. "We can't go back," Jace said. "We have to find another way." Kalia trusted him. They moved through narrow passages and emergency stairwells. At one point, Kalia slipped on broken glass. Jace caught her before she fell. "You're strong, but this isn't a game," he said softly. "I'm not afraid," she replied. They reached a heavy door with a keypad. Jace pulled out a small device from his pocket and connected it. The door clicked open. Inside was a storage room, dimly lit. Kalia looked around. "Where now?" Jace checked his communicator. "The control room is just ahead, but it's dangerous." Kalia took a deep breath. "We must stop whoever is behind this." Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall. Jace moved in front of Kalia, gripping Gravemind tightly. The door burst open and masked attackers charged. Jace fired a warning shot. The blast hit the wall near them, shaking the room. The attackers hesitated. Kalia stepped forward, raising her voice. "Leave now. This station belongs to peace," one attacker snarled. "No peace for traitors." Jace aimed again, steady and calm. The attackers turned and fled. Kalia's hands trembled slightly. Jace lowered his weapon and looked at her. "Are you all right?" "Yes," she said, steadying herself. "Thanks to you." Together, they hurried to the control room. The door was locked tight. Jace tapped the keypad again and entered the override code. Inside, the control room was chaos. Screens flickered and wires were cut. Kalia's advisors and technicians worked quickly to repair systems. "We've lost power to the defense grid," one technician said. "If they break through the shields, this station will be vulnerable," Kalia said, alarmed. Jace turned to her. "We need to stop the attackers before they do more damage." Kalia nodded. "Lead the way." Back in the corridors, Jace and Kalia moved with purpose. Jace fired warning shots ahead, clearing their path. They reached a central junction where the attackers regrouped. Jace raised Gravemind. "Stop this now," he commanded. The attackers hesitated again. Suddenly, Kalia stepped forward and spoke with authority. "This attack will fail. You will not destroy what we built." The attackers looked unsure. Jace fired a precise shot into the floor at their feet. They fled once more. The station security arrived moments later, pushing the attackers back. Kalia stood beside Jace, feeling stronger than ever. "You saved many lives tonight," she said. Jace shook his head. "We saved each other." For the first time, Kalia saw the human soldier not just as a weapon wielder but as a protector, a symbol of hope. The station was safe, but more importantly, Something between Kalia and Jace had changed forever. The peace summit resumed after the attack, but the mood was different. The great hall of Nexus 9 was filled with quiet voices and cautious glances. Delegates from many worlds exchanged uneasy looks, still shaken by the sabotage. Princess Kalia sat at the front, her eyes fixed on the crowd. She knew the moment had come to speak. She stood and the room slowly grew silent. Her voice was clear, strong, and calm. "Friends of the galaxy," she began, "tonight we faced a danger that threatened all of us. It showed us our weaknesses, but also our strengths." Kalia paused, her gaze moving to where Jace stood among the human delegation. "Humans," she continued, "are often underestimated. I, too, once thought them weak and reckless. But I was wrong." She looked directly at Jace. "Their strength is not only in their weapons but in their hearts. The courage to protect, the will to survive, and the determination to stand for what is right." The room was quiet, every ear listening. Kalia took a deep breath. "I, Princess Kalia of the Virilan Empire, ask that we build stronger bonds with humanity, not just for trade or power but for trust." Murmurs of agreement spread. Some delegates nodded, others whispered to each other. Kalia sat down and met Jace's eyes. He smiled softly and gave a slight bow. Later, in a quieter room, Kalia approached Jace. "You changed many minds today," she said. He shrugged. "I just did what needed to be done." Kalia smiled. "Your weapon was impressive, but your actions were greater." Jace looked thoughtful. "I carry Gravemind, yes, but it is people like you who give it meaning." Kalia's eyes softened. "I once believed power was all that mattered. Now I see it is also about connection." Jace nodded. "We all need that." The two stood together, different worlds yet, close in spirit. "Will you stay on Nexus 9? Kalia asked. "For now," he replied. "There is much to learn, and much to protect." Kalia smiled. "Then we will walk this path together." Over the following weeks, the Virilan Empire and humans began to work closer. Scientists shared knowledge, warriors trained side by side, and Kalia and Jace continued to learn from one another. Kalia found herself inspired by human resilience and kindness. Jace admired the Virilan pride and discipline. Together they became symbols of unity in a galaxy full of differences. One evening, Kalia stood on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Jace joined her quietly. She spoke first. "Do you believe this galaxy can change?" He looked at her. "I believe it already is." Kalia smiled. "Thank you, Jace, for opening my eyes." Jace's smile was gentle. "Thank you, Princess, for seeing the human beyond the weapon." They stood together, two unlikely allies, ready to face the future. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but with new friendships and understanding it held hope. Princess Kalia had been stunned by the size of a human weapon, but what truly surprised her was the size of a human heart.